Hi everybody, and thank you for watching this video. In this lesson, what we're going to be doing is going through the definition of an assumption and understanding what an assumption is. So in the last lesson, what we did is we went through an argument. Okay, so what we found was that an argument is made up of two parts. It's made up of a premise and it's made up of a conclusion. So if you recall, the premise was basically a statement or some piece of evidence that was given, okay? Whereas a conclusion was usually a summation, like the point of that premise. So it's usually starting with words such as therefore, hence. So yeah, it's basically the point of the argument, and those two features make an argument valid. Maybe it may not make it necessarily a good argument, but it's an argument nevertheless. So in this lesson, we have to have a look at an assumption. So what an assumption is, it's basically a hidden part of the argument. So it is something that's really not shown in the premise and the conclusion, but it links them up. So if you have a look at this particular argument that I wrote up, so it is a hot day today. Okay, that is simply a statement. So since it's a statement, we will define it as a premise. Okay, now this statement here, therefore I need an ice cream, that is a conclusion because it has therefore, and it's the actual point of what you're trying to say. So conclusion. So we have a premise and a conclusion. So therefore we have an argument. Okay? An assumption is basically what makes the premise and conclusion work together. So, it is a hot day today. That's great. Therefore, I need an ice cream. The assumption, the hidden assumption is when it's hot, I need an ice cream. So that is something that is not part of the argument directly, but indirectly it is still something that is involved in the process of understanding the argument. So that is an assumption. And what we'll be looking at in the next few lessons is actually how to strengthen and how to weaken arguments. So we might have to look at the underlying assumption and see whether that assumption is how to adjust it to make either weaken the argument or strengthen it. So that's next lesson. Thank you for viewing. Hope you have a great day. Bye.